Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. This is Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven Unscripted Success Podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, and how they get to where they're at today. And zooming from the beautiful island of Cape Coral, Florida, is Lisa Black, who's been a forensic scientist, basically, and written 19 books. I don't think I've read 19 books in my lifetime. Welcome to the show, Lisa.
Thank you.
So, 19 books, that's pretty, how do I put this? That's pretty,
Prolific.
fortitude on books. I mean, how long does a book take you to make?
About a year each, really. I mean, I'll spend a couple months just thinking. I mean, in between books, I don't write at all. I know some writers say you have to write every day. I've actually never done that. Other than personal letters, I don't write in between books, and I'll just take some time and think about things and let things kind of, plot around in my head until I have an idea, and then I'll start researching. Usually I have some kind of back topic that I'm kind of centering the book around. I've centered books around the online gaming industry.
Online gaming industry. That's
and children and legislation to protect children when it comes to that. The newspaper and print media and the entire change of how news is presented was one of my books. The treatment of violent juvenile offenders and a treatment facility designed by a treatment facility for them. And so just a lot of different topics that I happen to get, interested in, how political parties actually work. So I'll research and start to put a plot together. And then when I finally will start to get antsy, and then I have to start writing. And then once I start writing, I just go all the way through. I start at the beginning, go through it. I am a plotter. I know how it's going to begin. I know how it's going to end. I know who's going to get killed and why and who the killer is, and all the major pieces of evidence that my character is going to find. And then I set myself a word count every day or every week. And that has varied over the years depending on my work schedule. But once I start, I just have to keep going. I have this fear that if I stop, I won't start again. So I go all the way through for the first draft. So overall, it takes about a year.
Gotcha. So you have a word count per week. That's pretty good. Like you got to have 1,000 words a week or something like that.
Oh, usually 1,000 words a day. Sometimes 2,000,
7,000, or 5,000. You were doing a work week.
Yeah. Well, it averaged out to, I think, 10,000 a week.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you also have a full-time job as a forensics expert.
Yes.
Awesome. So, there's two shows that I've watched that have forensics experts, Lucifer and Dexter, who actually was a forensic expert. And it was a great premise. He was a serial killer that killed serial killers. So.
Oh, I know. We watched the whole series.
How here's a question for you. How realistic is what his job is to what you do?
Well, he was a bloodstain pattern expert, which I have been trained in, but here in Cape Coral, we don't get enough bloody crime scenes, thank heavens, to keep up my skills in it. So I actually, I'm technically a bloodstain pattern expert. So he specialized. My job is mostly fingerprints because burglary is our biggest crime here. I should start at the beginning. We respond to everything from a smashed mailbox to a double homicide, but it's a relatively low crime area, as I said. So most of our crime is burglary. Probably the 85% of my time is spent sitting in front of a computer looking at fingerprints, analyzing them, entering them, searching them, making identifications, writing the reports, just exactly as glamorous as it sounds. So it's not quite like TV. At the coroner's office, I started out at the coroner's office in Cleveland, Ohio, the Cuyahoga County. They've gone to medical examiner system now, but they were coroner when I was there. And I worked in the trace evidence department. So that was a lot more varied. I did a lot of victims' clothing examinations to be presented in court. I did DNA, hairs and fibers, paint, glass, ballistics, not ballistics, I mean gunshot residue, and testified in court a lot. And then, of course, when we moved to Florida and I worked for Cape Coral, my job duties were a little different. So it's a lot of photography, and fingerprints is mostly what I do.
You don't do a lot of court now?
No, surprisingly. Burglaries, I've probably testified in a burglary case maybe 3 times in 25 years. I assume they either they take a plea, or the charges get dismissed or dropped down to something else.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, the case gets solved, or what is that called when they're closed up? Case closed. Yeah, that's what it is. The case gets closed.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And in your spare time, you write 19 books.
Yes. Well, I've written more than that. I've published 19.
Oh, I'm sorry. You've written more than 19 books.
Yes. Yeah, not my first book that was published was actually my 9th full-length novel that I wrote.
Cool. Pure curiosity, do you make good money on those books? Because that's what.
Well, that's the thing.
That's the thing.
I did it first. Somehow I got this sweetheart deal with my first book. The CSI craze had just taken hold of the country. Publishing, this was before the economic crash in 2008. Publishing was still in its last heady days of throwing lots of money around. And I got this incredible amount of money because the publisher was looking for the next Patricia Cornwell, which I turned out not to be, to everyone's disappointment, especially mine. And since then, I'm making probably 5% of what I made on that first book.
Oh, so you did good
10% on the first, maybe. So I am now. So yeah, actually it's, then what we call the pubocalypse happened. And
that's a big term.
Around the time of the 2008 financial crash, then ebooks came into play. And ebooks are wonderful. I mean, pretty much everything I read nowadays is an electronic audio book downloaded from the library system, and they're fabulous. But at the time, the publishing, it was kind of had the effect that Napster had on music. It just kind of reinvented the industry. And for a time, publishers didn't know how to control the product. They didn't know how to control it. They didn't know how to price it. They didn't know. It was just kind of paralyzed everything. And then, of course, with the economic problems, publishers just cut their mid-lists right and left. And even best-selling, New York Times authors with a TV show had to take a pay cut just to stay in print. So the money is nowhere near what it used to be.
Oh, that's indifferent.
Yeah, I couldn't make a living
writing
books right now.
All right. Awesome. So if someone listening now wants to get better at what you do, what suggestion would you give them? What tips and tricks would you give them?
At writing or forensics?
Both. Might as well go for both.
Okay. Well, forensics, I would encourage you to get an if you're a college student, get an internship somewhere, or, even if it's just shadowing someone for a day, any experience you can get in the field and hang out with the people who actually do it. And an internship is invaluable, just getting hands-on in the real world and seeing how things work and getting experience like that is the best thing you can do. And in writing, I say read the read the authors that are the best in their field at what you want to write. And there's a lot of different ways to publish now. There's hybrid publishers, there's, self-publishing, and there's, there's a combination of the two. There's traditional publishing, and it's hard. It's really hard to get into traditional publishing, and it's hard to get an agent. That's the way I went. So that's really the only thing I can speak to. And it's difficult, but just keep at it. Like I said, it took me 9 full-length novels. And before I got into forensics at all, I had been a secretary. So I got very organized. And happily, you can do all your research on the internet. Now, I still had to go to the library and take out, go to the Writer's Digest, which was like this thick, and page through it to find agents and who represented the kind of thing I represent, and join writers' organizations.
Yeah,
What?
the Encyclopedia Britannica is not what anybody under 30 understands.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. I mean, it was still snail mail. I still had to, invest something in postage and stuff like that.
There you
And
go.
I would send out 10 query letters a week to agents. So it takes some persistence. And I would say have the patience not to immediately go into self-publishing unless you're really good at social media and marketing and internet presence, because that's where most of it is done nowadays. And especially, younger people who grew up with Instagram might be really super good at that. I'm not, and the idea just makes me exhausted. So that's not the route I want to go. But just there's so much on the internet that you can find out. Join writers groups that will help give you advice and guide you and just commiserate with you and give you feedback. Getting a good critique group is invaluable to your writing process.
Gotcha. So what is one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome in your career?
Well, getting published. It was, as
You
I
did
say,
it
it was a
19
long journey.
times.
Yeah. Well, once you start, again, the CSI craze was still going. And that, once you have a proven product, it's much easier. But I think I don't know, maybe it was Isaac Asimov or somebody said, you're only as good as your last book. So there's never any guarantees, no matter. I mean, I got on the New York Times bestsellers list. You'd think I'd be set for life, but nope. You have to reprove yourself every time.
That sounds exhausting is the word.
It is.
Sounds exhausting. You think you did it once, you'd be able to do it again and again and again, and it'd be relatively easy because your previous books. But yeah, sorry, that sounds tough. So just getting published is probably one of the hardest things to do.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But it's doable. People do it every day. I did. So, anybody can do it.
I agree. I've been wanting to write a couple books and I just never have the time to. Sounds like things are going pretty good for you in your businesses. Have you ever looking to the future and wondering how you've ever created passive income, making money for doing nothing? I think I know the answer to this one.
No, I don't know how to make money doing nothing. If you do, let me know.
You did the books.
Well, that's not doing nothing.
Well, you have
it's
to
a
do work
huge amount
up front.
of work.
Yeah, you got to do work up front and then make money for doing nothing after that. Yeah.
And sit back and reap in the royalties. But unfortunately, there's a huge, especially with the advent of self-publishing and different kinds of publishing, there's a lot of competition out there. So, it's, as I said, I need help marketing. Now, people who are good at it and enjoy that sort of thing can make lots of money all by themselves, and they don't need the traditional structure that I needed. So there's a lot of different ways to go. So it's doable. I would be I would really like to get into ghostwriting. To me, that sounds ideal. I'll just write the book for you. You give me a big old check, and I don't have to do a thing. There's, no website, no appearances, no blogs, no nothing. And that's just, you don't even have to put my name on the cover. I don't care. The problem is the big old check. No one seems real forthcoming with that. And I may have missed the curve for that because of AI. I think a lot of people who would otherwise be looking to do that think, well, we'll just take this person's, memories and possibly, hand it over to ChatGPT and let them write.
Gotcha. Oh, yeah. The ChatGPT is a good language model. I'll give you that.
Yeah. It's amazing what it can do.
I don't think ChatGPT has ever made a best-selling novel. There's a human.
Not yet.
There's a human factor in writing that I don't think ChatGPT can quantify yet.
No, it doesn't seem able to.
Here's a big question for you. If you could go back to your 20s with all the knowledge you have now, what would you do different and what would you do the same?
Oh man. I absolutely would not have majored in political science the first time. I did that because I fell in love with Washington, D.C., but I love the architecture, not being in politics, which I have zero aptitude for. So I would definitely have changed my major. I would not have spent 10 years as a personnel secretary before even going back to school, getting the degree in biology to go into forensics. I would not have gotten married, which, yes, I am still married to the same person. I probably would have started working out, but sooner I would have worn sunscreen a lot more. And invested in Microsoft, and taken a few writing courses, which I never did. So maybe I wouldn't have had to write 9 before I finally had a publishable product.
Gotcha. I like the idea of work out more. I haven't heard anybody say work out more. That is huge. That is huge for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a pretty good little interview. Wrapping it up, wondering what you got planned for the next 6 to 12 months.
Tons of stuff, actually.
Shoot.
Yes. I don't understand how I'm 61 and I'm busier than I've ever been in my life. I am hoping to retire.
Good.
I was planning to retire May 1st, which would be 25 years at the police department. But we are building a house in Tennessee with that first petty amount of money that the publisher gave me. I was looking to invest, so we bought some land, and now we're building on it. And it's going to be gorgeous, but it's literally on top of a mountain, which turns out to be a rather difficult place to build things. It's not like, a suburban cul-de-sac. So that's took longer to get going. So apparently I have to keep working until I can convert the construction loan to a mortgage, and then I can retire. So I'm looking hopefully to retire September 1st, because the house is going to go in place next month. We're going up there and to get the house started. And after that, my husband, whose idea it was to move to Florida in the first place, finally having Helene and Milton back to back last fall and watching the water creep up toward our house, finally decided him that we need to sell this house where we've been for 25 years and move further inland. Get something simple, not on the water, not in a flood zone, less hurricane prone. And so once we get the house in Tennessee set up, we're going to shift moving there and eventually put this place on the market. So a huge amount of stuff is happening.
Yeah. So did you get any water inside the house for any of those?
No, not yet. That's why we want to get out of here before that happens.
Because I was in Port Richey and I got hit by Helene and I had like a foot of water inside my house.
Oh yeah. Oh man, that's awful.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a flipper.
Yeah, for Helene, we're a little south, so we missed the really, really bad stuff, but it got close enough.
Bummer. And you missed the you missed the Fort Myers one because you're in between those two spots, correct?
Oh, no. Yeah, Ian also helped us. That was a direct hit.
Oh, you got a direct hit on that one?
Yeah. The inside of the house was still fine, but yeah, this whole cage behind me, yeah, that's all new because Ian took it out. Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing that your house is okay because when water comes in your house, you have to
Yes.
clean everything.
Yeah, that's our biggest fear.
Yeah. Well, you got a couple months left. Well, listen, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, how would they do that? If they want to talk about writing books and or CSI, how would they get in touch with you?
My website is www.lisa-black, like the color.com.
Awesome.
And you can get in touch with me through that.
Awesome. Anybody wants to talk to Lisa, please do. She's got a wealth of knowledge on writing books and CSI. Thanks a lot for coming on the podcast. I appreciate your time.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success Podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.